Hello, and thank you for joining us here on the Neutral Zone. I am Phil Milani, joined as always by my trusty sidekick, my partner in crime. Really, the best way to describe this person is by everything. It's at Eric Dalala.
Phil, great to be with you on the road.
Eric, you tried to run off to the combine, and I was like, not so fast.
Yeah, you said you're not going anywhere without me.
I said, I'm coming on this one.
It was meant to be.
And that's because this is kind of a big episode.
That's
Eric.
right.
That's what I would say. I'd say this is sort of maybe like our biggest get.
Oh, you think so?
I sort of think so. I don't know. What would you say?
Wow. I mean, we had George Stoya one time.
We did have George Stoya from the Denver Gazette.
Yeah, this is a little bigger.
This one, Nathaniel Hackett, the Broncos' new head coach. We kind of snuck into the Broncos suite.
Yeah,
at Lucas Oil Stadium.
With the interview room.
Yeah, that's like where they bring in the candidates.
Yep. The prospects.
They're
candidates.
Yeah, the candidates to be drafted, I think. That's how I would say. Prospects. And that's where they get 18 minutes with them.
Wow.
And they just do all kinds of silly questions. They do all kinds of different stuff in there. We snuck in there.
Did we get 18 minutes with him?
No.
Close.
I think we got
a nice
10
chat.
minutes. Yeah, it was, we were in there. We got to ask him whatever we wanted to.
Nathaniel Hackett. I don't even know if we've said who it was with.
That's what I said, Broncos.
Yeah.
Are you listening to me?
A little bit.
New Broncos head coach Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we got into all kinds of different things. So it was pretty nice, I think.
Yeah. Good. There was a call and response portion, Phil.
Yeah. I mean,
he got us going.
Yeah. I was like, wait a second. Who's in charge here?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
Like, who's running this interview?
We started asking the questions, but by the end, we were not. We were not in charge.
We did not know what was going on.
No.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of a nice interview that we got coming up here. But how's your week here at the Combine?
Yeah, a little bit of an abbreviated week here, Phil. Normally we're here all week.
We just did
quick
a couple
in
of
and
days
out
this
trip.
time. I think that's a little bit better.
Yeah, you hear from George Payton, you hear from Nathaniel Hackett, you heard from some quarterbacks.
Yes, we did.
On what is today? Wednesday?
Today is Wednesday.
Yeah,
so
you lose track of time over here.
Yeah, the quarterbacks came through and talked. A lot of these quarterbacks get the question, why are you the best quarterback in this draft class?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of quarterbacks in this one, they could make an argument for why they're the best. There's no, clear number one quarterback, I would say, in this year's draft. And we got some interesting answers, Eric, guys from all over the place. One thing that was consistent, though, leadership. A lot of quarterbacks seem to think that that's what people are looking for.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you need from your guy, and it'll be interesting to see kind of some of the guys will throw this week. Matt Corral from Ole Miss, he will not throw.
No.
Still rehabbing.
He's rehabbing.
But there's kind of
he said he's pain-free, though, now.
That's good.
That is
You love
good.
to be pain-free, but just an interesting we'll see how it goes. We've got this conversation around the Broncos with the quarterback position. We'll talk about it. And you've got all these draft prospects at the quarterback position, and we just have no idea. Are the Broncos going to go that direction, or are they going to make a move on a veteran here in the coming days or weeks?
Yeah, I would say one thing. George Payton, he doesn't really give any hints or clues, or he doesn't tip his hand at all.
Every option.
Everything is on the table.
No stone unturned.
That is what he said, yeah. So maybe we'll get into some of the little news items that we heard here in Indianapolis. Eric, if fans want to be a part of the Neutral Zone Nation, NZ Nation, how do you do that?
You could leave a voicemail. That's one way. 707-NEUTRAL. You call in. You don't have to talk to anybody. You just
straight to voicemail.
Leave a voicemail. We'll play it on the show.
Ben Swanson is not going to be there.
No.
It should be okay, I think. If you don't want to do that, it's there's a way you could leave an email.
Leave an email, neutralzoneshow@gmail.com. Neutral Zone's in both of those.
That is
for
true.
those
that
of you playing at home. It makes it nice and easy.
Nice and easy, yeah.
I don't know what would happen if you sent an email to 707-NEUTRAL. Probably nothing.
Probably nothing.
Maybe we'd get a text or something.
I don't think so.
I don't know how that would work.
Yeah. Those are ways that you can be involved in the show. You could also contact us directly on Twitter at Eric Dalala with an A, at Phil Milani with a PH. That's a nice way to do it, I think.
Yeah, non-traditional spellings for those names, but people they've found us.
They've figured out how to do it.
Yeah.
And then if you're watching on YouTube, which is probably the preferred method, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to see, what does this suite look like?
Yeah. I mean, some people, they listen to a podcast while they're driving.
Yep.
Okay. Some people, they're working out. Okay. Maybe you're running some errands.
Maybe a podcast doesn't get me going when I'm working out.
Some people listen to podcasts.
I need somebody screaming.
You need some Broncos.
You know?
Well, we do scream sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But you know, if you really want to like focus on what we're talking about, YouTube.
Put it on the big
Sit
screen
down.
TV in the
Tom
living room.
Magnetti does it.
Yep. You might as
It's
well do it
nice.
too.
Yeah, you might as well do it too. It's on the Broncos official YouTube page at Broncos.
I even ironed my shirt, Phil.
I know, but no QZ. This
No, it's unseasonably warm
yeah
here
But
in the
I do whatever
the
it takes
Steel
to get
City.
the QZ. I bring out the lightweight one, the
Yeah,
medium weight.
That's true.
Yeah, so this thing's breathe.
It was like it's like 60 degrees
Yeah,
here.
it is nice though in Indianapolis. We've been here where it's close to 0 the whole week. It's a little bit of a
it's
different
rained.
cold here in Indianapolis than it is back home in Denver.
Wind, a lot of wind.
It's a little chill. It gets right to the
Yeah,
bones.
that's true.
This week, nice though.
A lot of traffic though. I've been
that's
surprised with how much traffic Indianapolis has had. There's been
Like-
I've been honked at several times.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just trying to cross the
much-
street.
Too much honking or no?
Yeah, I would say so.
What do you think's up with that?
It's just a busy time. This could be the last time, Phil,
It's here in
that
Indianapolis.
we are ever in this convention center
Yeah.
ever again.
I like this convention center.
Yeah, makes you just think about like your own mortality. You know,
It does. It's like
like things that you'll never
the
do. Like I could just never be in this room again.
ever. You got to. That's why you got to live
That would be crazy.
where your feet are.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? You got to be where your feet are.
yeah. I think Nathaniel Hackett,
That's it.
in our interview with him, he talks about the YOLO principle.
Yeah. What? That's that candy, right? Yeah.
Close, I think
So
so.
Rolo, not a sponsor.
No,
Could be though if they want.
if they're up for it.
Yeah, if they want to be, a part. Anyway, let's dive into our first topic then here on the Neutral Zone. We'll talk a little bit about the news that we learned here in Indianapolis as both George Paton and Nathaniel Hackett met the media on Tuesday this week. Not anything like, whoa, we're definitely bringing back this free agent. We're doing this. We're going in this direction. None of that kind of stuff.
No.
Occasionally you'd get that from like John Elway. He would just say something and you'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he'd say we're going to tender this guy. You know,
Yeah.
we're going to place the franchise tag on this guy. We're going to,
Yeah.
you know, pick up the option on this guy. George,
He's like,
not as much.
no.
Keeps it close to the vest.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're like, hey, the weather is nice outside, huh, George? And you'd be like, maybe. It's kind of nice, but maybe it's not so nice. Sometimes it is nice.
That's possible.
Sometimes it's not nice, you know?
Got to keep
Yeah.
him guessing.
Exactly, yeah. And the one thing, though, that he has made clear is that the Broncos need improved play at the quarterback position.
Yep.
He also told me when I talked to him one-on-one,
Nice.
said that they also got to improve the play around the quarterback.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, they really just got to improve the play.
Improve
You got to
everything.
improve the quarterback play, and then you got to improve the play around the quarterback. That's everything.
Yeah.
But I think that everybody knows that the quarterback is like the major topic of conversation for the Broncos. It certainly has been here in Indianapolis. Anybody talking Broncos, talking about that quarterback position, that's where it all starts. What did you think about what he had to say, George?
Yeah, I mean, at the quarterback position, said you could trade for a guy, you could sign a guy in free agency, you could draft a guy, and he actually brought the trade up himself. Somebody
Yeah.
said, would you prefer to sign someone in free agency or draft somebody? And he said, we could do either of those. We could trade for somebody. I mean, obviously, the two biggest names out there, Aaron Rodgers, who knows what he's going to do,
knows?
retire, go back to Green Bay.
It really could change that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, we could be recording this, and we could get a little text from George that says, hey, guys, here's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
We could have to start
yeah,
over.
Exactly.
Hopefully that doesn't happen. I mean, maybe
Well, it could be nice if it
could
happened.
be. Yeah, that's true. But I mean,
Ooh.
so you got the
Smoke.
You
I don't know
okay?
what happened there. Okay, yeah.
everything's going to be okay.
Uh,
But so you got that going on with Rodgers. Pete Carroll comes out today and says that John Schneider, the Seahawks GM, is essentially hanging up on people if they try to call about Russell Wilson. So then you wonder, if it's not going to be one of those two guys.
What else are
John
you
Lynch says Jimmy Garoppolo is available. He's gonna, if they're fielding calls. He's having shoulder surgery, but he should be okay. So you kind of wonder, what is the value of that crop of guys, or do you go with one of these young players? He mentioned Drew Lock as an option. I know
Drew Lock is still an option.
that got some kind of play on Twitter because Nathaniel Hackett said it's a clean slate with Drew. We're starting over. Nathaniel Hackett basically said, Phil, what some people on Twitter have said, which is that Drew's been done no favors by changing offensive systems so frequently. So he could be an option. They said, like Teddy, he could come back as a free agent.
Really,
I mean,
anything could happen.
Which is interesting because I feel like sometimes with teams, you're like, well, we know they're going to go in the draft for this
Do
guy.
this, yeah.
We know we're trying to win now and we're going to go after a big-time guy. The Broncos could go several different directions, which it's kind of going to make the next few weeks really interesting.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, when would you anticipate something the ball's starting to roll? Maybe you start hearing some rumors.
Yeah, I don't know.
Free agency,
that's
maybe?
That's kind of the interesting thing is that whatever the first domino is, maybe that pushes other things to happen more quickly, and maybe that's Aaron Rodgers saying I'm retiring or I'm coming back to Green Bay.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's traded somewhere, but maybe that kind of kicks things off, because then once you see what the market is, or maybe there is no market, it kind of gets the rest of the things in gear. But you're certainly going to have an answer by the start of free agency in terms of, are the Broncos going with a veteran guy? Because if you get like 3 days into free agency and you haven't signed maybe even 1 day, like you haven't signed a big name guy or a trade hasn't happened, I think at that point you've got to assume, okay, we're either going to take a rookie quarterback or we're going to run it back and see what Drew Lock can do.
Yeah. It's just interesting, so much talk about the quarterback position, and them feeling that pressure, knowing that, okay, we got to do something here. Life in the NFL does not last for long. I think that from George's perspective, I think that he's like, we've talked about this so much, we've got to do something here, and especially in this division. You know what I mean? If you want to have any chance of competing, I mean, you can beat Justin Herbert or Mahomes like here or there, but if you want to just be in the mix every single week and have an actual chance to win the division, you got to have one of those guys. And, the Broncos did not have a terrible season, but they finished last in the division.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's not cutting it.
No, you need better quarterback play. There's no question about that. I think they feel the urgency. It's not going to be like let's just wait and see for another year. Like if they decided we're going to go with Drew, or we're going to go with a free agent, or we're going to go with a young guy, it's going to be because they view that as a viable option to get to the playoffs, to compete for a championship. Here in our conversation with Nathaniel Hackett, we asked him what does success look like in year one. He didn't shy away from the fact that they want to compete for a division title this year, and so you need better play from the quarterback position. But it's wide open because you could do it in several different ways.
I think that the argument for Drew Lock would just be, hey, we're bringing in Nathaniel Hackett under this system, under this tutelage. We feel like he's got a chance to be really successful, and I think that's really the only way you think that Drew Lock is the right answer right now, just because you don't talk all offseason about how you got to improve that play if you feel like that guy's already in your building,
And you need some sort of plan and conversation with Drew where you could really specifically say, here's what we're going to do, or like we feel good about Drew in this situation. You might not have to say it publicly, but you've got to be able to convince the locker room. You got to be able to convince the coaching staff, the team, that like this can work.
Yeah. And really, a lot of these things might really begin to heat up this week here in Indianapolis. That's where a lot of the movers and shakers in the NFL, they're rubbing elbows here all week long. So maybe that kind of gets some of these things, if they haven't already been going on, maybe it'll get it cooking a little bit more.
Yeah, we know there's conversations going on with, agents of potential free agents. There's conversations, I'm sure, going on between GMs of different teams. But what I kind of go back to is everyone, and rightfully so, you're focused on the Broncos. You're like, what are the Broncos going to do? A lot of it's dependent on what is everybody else doing. There's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks. And so, I think Broncos fans might view a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of just – did I say something?
I'm rattled.
Yeah, did I say something?
I'm choked up a little bit.
Yeah.
Where's Ben Swanson with the water when you need it?
Yeah, I think that he's taking a nap back there.
Yeah, he's done his.
If you enhance the video, you could probably see him back there somewhere, and he's just taking a snooze.
He's done his work. He's taking his photographs for the day.
Yeah, and then I think he was painting something.
Oh, well, that's
something.
That's a full day's work. But
yeah, he is.
I think with, like, say, a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, Broncos fans might view him as like, hey, he's an option if we don't get an upper echelon guy.
Plan B.
Right. But there could be a team in the NFL that views, he's been linked to Indianapolis as a potential option.
Go get him. They might just go get him.
He could be their plan A, and so then you end up with plan C. And so a lot of this is connected. It's not only the Broncos here who are interested in, like, Aaron Rodgers, for example. A lot of teams could be interested in Aaron Rodgers. What happens in Houston with Deshaun Watson? Like, there's there's a lot of kind of interconnected pieces, and the Broncos are not the only player, and so that kind of bears watching.
In the NFL, you either have a quarterback or you're looking to get a quarterback.
And that's what George said. He said,
that's it.
He said everybody's looking for this, not just us. And so, I think he told Mike Florio, our urgency's at a 10 out of 10, but it's like that for every team that doesn't have one. And so,
if it's anything less than that, it's like, well, what are you even?
Well, but it's just not as simple as snapping your fingers and saying it's solved now.
Yeah, you got to make this happen. I was talking to Peter Schrager from Good Morning Football, and he was like, last year's draft class was really good for the Broncos. He's like, but it was also a better quarterback class than this year's class. He was like, Pat Surtain was really good, but in the back of your mind, maybe somewhere you're thinking, hey, what if Mac Jones was a quarterback? Like, where would you be right now? Or,
or like, hey, Nathaniel Hackett's in here now. What can Nathaniel Hackett do with Justin Fields?
Yeah, exactly. You kind of just got – that's kind of like somewhere still in the back of your mind. As good as Pat Surtain was last year.
And you hope, hey, can you find a quarterback so you can have both Surtain and that guy?
Yeah.
Because Surtain is a really good player. I mean,
he
has all-pro potential.
Yeah.
His rookie season was nearly identical to what Champ Bailey did as a rookie. Like,
you talk to people here at the Combine, and they all say, oh, yeah, Surtain, that was great. I mean, that was a solid pick.
You hope you can get to the point where you can get away from that comparison, and you don't have to say, like,
what if
they took Surtain over Mac Jones. It's like,
that'll live forever until they get a quarterback.
Of course.
Yeah. So that is sort of the buzz at the quarterback position here, and I would imagine that we'll start to get some news and get some stuff here next couple of weeks, maybe.
Yeah, I think, deadlines kind of create movement, and certainly the start of the league year, teams are going to want to start planning.
Yeah.
And so,
because if you get a guy like one of those top guys, once free agency kicks off, that could dictate a lot of the things that you're trying to do. Like if you land a top tier quarterback, then you're saying we're going after it.
Right.
That you might do a little bit more spending than if maybe you're like, okay, we'll just draft one of these guys.
Yeah, and you'll know what picks you have to work with.
Yeah.
You'll know, hey, how much can we afford to spend at this? Maybe you spend a little bit more in free agency on certain positions if you know, hey, we're going to go with a rookie quarterback, we got a little more cap space to work with because it's not going to be the same hit. So.
Yeah. Or George Payton also said, hey, we got to get a right tackle. He just came out and said, we got to get a right tackle. If you land Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers, somebody like that, then you really have to get a right tackle. You know, like you got to protect those guys. So I think that everything is going to be predicated upon who's under center for the Broncos.
Absolutely.
So that was pretty much the biggest news. That's sort of the talking points here.
I mean, the quarterback's the biggest thing, and you begin to hear a little bit about free agents.
Yeah.
And so Bryce Callahan, Melvin Gordon, Kareem Jackson, Bobby Massey, of course, Alexander Johnson, Josie Jewell, those are all the big names at linebacker. One of those guys stand out to you as kind of, hey, I want this guy back above maybe all the others?
It might be surprising, but I think like Melvin Gordon, I know that George Payton said that they want him back. I think that he said he's had some good talks with Melvin. So I do think that having Melvin there helps Javonte. I think maybe last year it was like a little more evenly split, or maybe even Melvin had a couple more carries here or there. I do think that next year I think Javonte is going to be the featured back. And then if Melvin is okay with that role, which I think that he would be, I think that he's okay splitting carries. Then I do think that they help each other tremendously. So if you want that running game to be really good, if you feel like Hackett, some of his offensive system is predicated upon the play action, being able to run the football, I think then you're going to want that running game, and I think that Melvin Gordon could be that piece. If not Melvin, I would probably say Bryce Callahan.
Okay.
That's who.
Good slot corner. When he's been healthy.
Really
good. He's been maybe the best nickel in the league. Like he's been really good when healthy, can play outside. So a valuable addition there.
Having a guy who can line up in the slot and cover some of these wide receivers nowadays. wide receivers come in all shapes and sizes nowadays. I mean, you've still got guys, huge guys like Cortland Sutton or like Metcalf or like that kind of guy. Then you're also dealing with guys like Deebo Samuel who are in the backfield, and so like you got to just be able to cover all kinds of different people, and to have an asset like a Bryce Callahan who you could say, okay, go guard this guy who might be really difficult for someone else to cover. That's a huge asset to have, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. Number one, to me, would be Melvin. I think the questions are, would he be okay with, and this is just kind of me speculating here, but would he be okay with 35-40% of the carries?
Yeah.
Because I think, you invested in Javonte Williams by trading up. You want him to carry the ball. He's really good.
I do think that he's going to be the primary back.
And so, like, does Melvin want to be does he want closer to 50-50?
Yeah.
Does he want the majority of the carries somewhere? Because he's still a good back. I'm sure he could find
really
that.
Good, yeah.
And then the second thing is, what is he okay with from a contract standpoint?
Yeah, financially it's got to make sense. Because
as
these running backs get a little bit older, you got to start thinking, from a team's perspective, like, okay, how much are we willing to invest in this situation? And from Melvin's perspective, he's probably thinking, I'm not exactly sure how many more years I got left on this body. I'm not going to do this for nothing.
Right.
So,
well, and then there's the fact of, hey, if Javonte is the starter and he's getting 70% of the carries, do you want the guy behind him making more?
Yeah, exactly.
Because Javonte on a second-round contract
it's not
would probably make less than whatever Melvin make. And, it's no guarantee these days that a running back gets that second big contract.
Yeah.
So, you'd hope that Javante's here a long time, but...
And they can't do anything to help, like, boost Javonte or something like that.
Not yet.
No. So it's not like, oh, why don't they just pay Javonte more?
Right.
You can't do that.
And then my second guy, I think it's probably Josie Jewell.
Oh, okay.
Bobby Massey, close for me, just because I think even though you want to go out and solve that right tackle, probably I would do it through the draft. I think just having a guy in Massey would be valuable. That's kind of like an insurance safety net.
Got it.
But Josie, I just think he's such a cerebral player. We know how much he meant to that defense. You got Baron Browning, who's going to come back as a starter, but he's a young player, so to have a veteran like Josie, and Josie played as well as anybody at the start of last year. He was probably the best defensive player in that Jags game before he got hurt. He was flying around, and so...
I was going to say, I think that if the Broncos still have one of their top picks, I do think inside linebacker might make sense.
Yeah.
They have been looking for, like, that guy who is, like, a difference maker at that position. I think if you wanted to, you could use one of their first 2 days pick there.
Yeah. I look more, and obviously we'll see how things develop over the coming weeks. How many picks do they have?
Yeah. I mean, everything.
Do they need to go for a quarter? Whatever it is. But to me, like, edge rusher.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You've got to get you can't just go for like a depth guy.
Yeah.
I think if you got a first round pick, you got to really consider using that on an edge rusher and get a high impact, really good guy, a Jermaine Johnson,
a lot of edge rushers
from Michigan. Those are you need that type of guy. And then day two, I try to find a right tackle and just kind of get that figured out. So to me, inside linebacker a little bit less of an issue, but obviously, like if you find that guy like a Micah Parsons,
that's what I'm saying.
a Darius
you can rush
Leonard,
the passer from all kinds of different positions.
Then you got yourself in a good spot.
Difference maker. Yeah, that's true. I guess we'll find out more about this coaching staff by some of these decisions that they make too. What they're going to prioritize. But yeah, George Payton just talked about Bradley Chubb a little bit. Said that he hopes that like his foot gets better and like he's healthy and he's ready to rock.
Yeah, he said he thinks he'll be back at that Pro Bowl level.
Yeah,
which
so
if he
you
could
need another guy though.
If he could play at that sort of level, and you could bring in whether it's a free agent or a young guy or something like that, and get that pass rush going, that's going to help the back end of the defense. Going to help everybody. You got to be able to rush the passer.
Yeah. And he did talk about Jonathan Cooper, Malik Reed, who's a restricted free agent, right?
Yeah, they'd have to decide to tender him at a certain level.
Yeah. Tender, huh?
Yeah.
Chicken tender.
No. Restricted free agent tender.
Oh, got it.
A little different.
A little bit different. So, those are the free agent situation. That's going to get started here in a couple of weeks.
Right.
So, anything else that you thought that was of note?
No, I thought those were probably the big takeaways. It's interesting, based on where this team is, it feels like we're in like a waiting game.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of teams, you're like, okay, well, what do you do with this guy? Or like, you gonna sign this free agent? Or like there's just like a path forward when you know who your quarterback is. And until the Broncos know what they're gonna do, it's like, well, how do you plan for what you're gonna do at edge rusher if you don't know if we're gonna be aggressive in free agency or we're gonna attack this in the draft or
it's hard to get excited about the
draft. We're not gonna have a pick.
Yeah.
You know, like we just don't know what any of that looks like for the rest of the team until you figure. Like, even if you just said, hey, we're trading for Jimmy Garoppolo, or we're going to sign Mitchell Trubisky in free agency, not maybe the, like, sexiest moves you could make, but at least you know.
And you got a direction.
And then everything kind of falls into place from here.
Yeah. And this might sound crazy, but maybe you're looking ahead to next year's draft, too, and just saying, okay, well, what is coming down the...
It didn't sound... And, George is very good at deflecting and hiding and kind of casting illusions.
Sneaky. Would you play poker against George?
No. I don't really like poker anyway.
No. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Would you? Okay, there's nothing else.
Parcheesi?
Yeah. Gin rummy?
Yeah, sure. I wouldn't play against him. Oh, yeah, because you bet tricks?
In gin rummy? No.
I think so. Is that regular rummy?
I don't know.
Anyway, he said you don't know where you're going to draft the next year, and so, like,
that's true.
There's all this talk about
if you got a guy, you
but like there's all this talk about a Bryce Young, a CJ Stroud as kind of these top quarterbacks next year. Okay, well, what if you draft? What if somebody comes in and you go 10-7 and you're drafting 16 or 17? Yeah. And now you got no chance to get up to 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Like, you might be able to get up to 5. You might be able to get up to 3. But like the Jaguars were not moving off the line for Trevor Lawrence no matter what.
No. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just hard to find this guy.
Maybe you think it's worth keeping an eye on the Kyler Murray situation?
I don't know. No.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so. I think that'll get resolved. I mean, I'm just speculating, but I do think.
That would be interesting.
If he were to come to Denver.
Yeah. I just don't know how much. I think you're probably still trying to figure out how good is he,
That's probably what Arizona is like trying to do.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
But he also seems grumpy.
He wants to get paid.
So.
Yeah. That would be interesting. I don't know. Yeah. 2-time Pro Bowler, right? I mean, he's
2-time Pro
had
Bowler.
some success, but maybe you're like,
he makes some incredible plays.
Top?
He also makes some plays where you're like, what are you thinking?
Happened? Yeah. That playoff game did not go so well.
No, it didn't.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that the main reason probably most people have been they've just been waiting.
Yeah, they're like fast forward 15 seconds. Yeah, if you like
there's no
hold it
commercials.
down. No, we're not.
So that's when
we don't have commercials.
No. Yeah, but now is the time though. We finally have arrived to the main point of this podcast, and that is our conversation with Broncos head coach Nathaniel Hackett. We snuck into Lucas Oil Stadium. The guys were like chasing after you.
Yeah, I was like, "You'll never catch me. You'll never catch me."
And you were like, "I've Nathaniel Wade."
Yeah.
Do you call him Nate? You think at some point maybe we could call him Nate, or do you think it's
at some point? I think
Nathaniel?
I think Nathaniel for now. You still getting to know each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe after next season.
Yeah. Like at some point, I would expect he'd just call me Rick.
Rick?
That's what my friends call me.
Oh, really? Yeah, you think that's what he's gonna say?
Yeah, that's why you call me Eric.
Rick.
Yeah, exactly. Of the week.
Rick of the week. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so we snuck in there. We set up our cameras, and he spent some time chatting with us about all kinds of different things. Eric, we had some fun.
We did.
And we also talked some serious football. So I hope that you enjoy this conversation. We're at Lucas Oil Stadium at the NFL Scouting Combine, catching up with the Broncos' new head coach, Nathaniel Hackett. Coach, thanks for being on the Neutral Zone.
Hey, my pleasure.
What do you think? The Neutral Zone. That's a pretty good name for a podcast, don't you think?
Yeah. I'm a little more, go one way or the other. You're either getting better or worse, Now we don't want to stay too neutral.
Okay. Well, we try to stay neutral on the show. So
okay. That's good.
That's kind of what we do. Tell us a little bit about your experience here at the Combine so far, and what are you looking for? What are you hoping to achieve this week?
Oh, it's been great. Been able to meet with a lot of guys, have some 18-minute interviews, which you try to get as much as you possibly can out of all the guys, and it's been great. Seeing people in person, being able to shake their hand, get to know them a little bit is so critical.
You do the shrimp cocktail at St. Elmo?
Oh, of course. You kidding me? Extra sauce. The best is watching Tyrone Wheatley eat it. He just eats it with the crackers, and he's freaking out. It's awesome.
You load it up. Obviously, the quarterback position, Coach, a big question here for this team. It seems like rookie quarterbacks, they don't get 3-4 years anymore. They got to play right away. They got to be ready to go. How do you try to figure out if they can step in and fill that role right away?
I'll tell you, it's I've always said it's probably one of the most difficult positions in all of sports to be able to play. And then when you ask a young man to come out of college, not only adjust to the speed, but all the things that we ask them to do, it's very difficult. I think that's why all coaches want those rookies to be able to wait a little bit longer and be able to learn a little bit more with different quarterbacks, kind of sit in the back. But I think that with any rookie quarterback that you have out there, you have to be sure you do a great job at protecting him and making sure that you don't give him the whole playbook, but you kind of slowly give him a little bit here and there so he's successful. I look back at the old days when Joe Montana was first drafted and he was put in the red zone just to be able to get a couple touchdowns when DeBerg, I think, was playing at that time. So it's about building up confidence, about letting the guy learn the system. So it's definitely hard for any rookie quarterback to come on in and be able to be successful.
The quarterback position obviously is the number one topic of conversation right now. The Broncos have really been looking for the guy since Peyton Manning retired. What's your philosophy on trying to fill that position? How crucial is it that you have that guy to win in today's NFL?
Yeah, I think, well, first and foremost, we got to get Peyton. We got to talk to Peyton and John, see what they can do, get them back here. Yeah. But I think, hey, listen, every single team, a lot of it is how the quarterback plays. I mean, it's the most important position in the NFL. Like we said, it's the most difficult position to play also. That's why it's so hard to be able to get a guy who can go out there and be successful. I think the starting point is whoever that guy is for them to understand the support that I'll give that person and the things that I'll do to try to build it around that quarterback. Because to me, that's the only thing that matters. Whatever that guy can do well, that's what I want to continually do, and just make sure that they're always feeling that can't stop me mentality when they walk out there. So I think whoever it is, that's where we're going to have to get that person.
When you get that guy in place and you come in off-season workouts, OTAs, that sort of thing, what's the first step to getting this thing kind of turned around? What's the number one priority?
From a standpoint of the quarterbacks? Or just
the team, how do you get them going?
Well, I think right out the gate they got to get. I mean, it's a new whole group, it's a new staff, it's a new culture. It's just a totally different feel. So I think it's just them coming in the building, getting to know me, kind of starting to build those relationships. Because I think that as you build a relationship with the player, that's when you can communicate, you can talk, you can coach them, you can kind of learn from each other. So I think that as we move forward, and once the phase 1 gets here into the veteran mini camp to the phase 2, all those, it's just about everybody getting to know each other, understanding the systems, understanding each other. Because that, as you build that trust, which we have to do pretty quick because we got the season's right around the corner. Before we blink, it'll be here, and I think that's really the main thing.
Once the season does get started, what is this thing going to look like? What kind of head coach do you envision yourself being? Are you going to be a kind of guy who's like every fourth down we're going for it? Are you going to be really super aggressive like before halftime, that kind of thing? Like, what is this going to look like?
I think if we just said it was going to be one way, I think that would not be a good thing to say. I think that every game is so unique and so different. I mean, every week the entire thing changes. The defense that we're facing, the matchups that we have. I think you have to be very analytical on every opponent that you're going to go against, and you have to be sure you understand what the right way to be able to win a game is. And it's about the team. It's not just offense, it's not just defense, it's not just special teams, but it's about all three phases being able to come together, support each other, and do whatever it takes to win.
I know we're going to want to score a lot of Tugaliciouses. What's the plural of Tugalicious?
Tugaliciousnesses.
Okay. Where did that come from?
A lot of the things that happen, I don't know how it started. I just, once you get up there, just things just naturally start happening. I think I started the Tugalicious out. It might have been in Buffalo or earlier. We'd always say, I say Tuggo, you say licious. Tuggo.
Licious.
Tuggo.
Licious.
See, that's good. You guys like that one, didn't you? No doubt.
What does success look like in year one for you? I know we're not even in the off-season program yet, but if we're sitting here a year from today, hopefully you'll have us back. We're sitting here. What does success look like?
I mean, hey, it's about putting that product on the field, getting the fans excited, having explosive plays on offense, getting takeaways on defense, special teams getting yards and making explosive plays also. So I think, everybody says, hey, you got to do this and you got to do that each year. But I think that it's just everybody feeling the progress, feeling the energy. For us, it's always about getting to the playoffs. I mean, in the end, that's what we want to do. I mean, that's why we do this, is to get to the dance. And once you're there, then, hey, it's a totally new ball game. So I think that, for me, I'm always going to look to try to get to the playoffs, always look to win the division. Those are the things we'll always talk about in the building. It's going to be a challenge, but that's what we're always going to be focused on.
We're talking a little bit back about quarterbacks here. Obviously, you were working with Aaron Rodgers most recently. Then before that, a guy like Blake Bortles. When you see that it's working and it's clicking, how do you measure that, or how do you know, okay, we got something special going here?
I think it's a little bit about efficiency with also getting those explosive plays at the same time. I think, golly, in 2020, that year offensively was pretty special. I mean, watching the guys being able to execute both with the explosive plays and methodically going down the field. I look back at 2017 season with the Jaguars. It looked a lot different than it did in 2020, but we were still one of the best offenses in the league, and it was a little different emphasis, putting it more on the run. So I think that, once we get the team together, once we understand who they all are, it's about what those guys do best and what's the right thing for the Broncos at that time. And again, that can change over and over. You never know what your roster is going to look like in week 12 compared to week 1. So I think it's just about continually adjusting and doing what's right for the team.
With the coaching staff, you brought in some young guys, a lot of potential there. Is it kind of, how do you feel about that group, and what gives you faith that these guys are going to get it right? And how do you kind of grade them?
Well, I think it starts with me. I mean, you got to grade me. I'm the one that's going to be up in front of the guys and trying to support the guys and bring the best out of them, as much as the players, but also the coaches. When it comes to that youth, when it comes to that experience term, we all say, I've been on a lot of different staffs, a lot of different groups, a lot of great experienced guys, inexperienced guys. The best staff I was on was at Green Bay, and we had a lot of inexperience. I think we had a first-time quarterback coach, a first-time O-line coach, a first-time tight end coach, and a first-time wide receiver coach in the NFL. And the idea was, hey, we just wanted to bring people in that room that we could all get along with, and we would all be humble, be able to work together and support each other. And I think that's what we wanted to create here, is take out some of those experience terms and just say, hey, let's just judge the individual as a person and how they would work in that room, because we spend a lot of time together. I mean, especially during the season, I spend more time with them than my own family, and they become my family. So I think that you have to have that relationship. You have to understand the kind of person and character they are.
We certainly felt that shift in the building. There's just a little more energy, that kind of thing. Talking about the current team, I know that you guys have spent a lot of time going through the roster, kind of understanding what you have so far. On the offensive side of the ball, there's a lot of young talent, guys like Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy, Javonte Williams in the backfield there. What do you think about this offensive side of the ball here?
We're going to need a lot of plays to get all those guys the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
So we got to get a lot of first downs so we can continue to distribute it all over the place, because they're all going to want it. They're a great group of men, and I think, just being able to talk with them, haven't gotten to know them as well as I want to, just because it's the off season. But I'm very excited to work with all of them. I'm excited for them to get in the building, kind of get to know me, and I think that's kind of the most, like we said earlier, it's about those relationships that you gain, so that when I get up in front and I talk about different plays, that it becomes their plays and they understand I'm here to support them and make them as great as they possibly can be.
Coach, last one for me. I know we're here at the Colts Stadium. I don't know if you've been down to Empower Field yet, but have you pictured that first game, that first win, being in the locker room, kind of what that'll be like as a head coach?
No, you got to go day by day right now. There's so many things that I look forward to getting done, and so many different tasks at hand that, it's about one day at a time, because if I look too far ahead, my head would be spinning. It's already spinning nonstop. I'm so excited every day I walk into that building at the office. So I look forward to it. It's going to be great, but there's a lot of work to be done before that.
Last one for me here, and then we'll let you go, Coach. Just your personality. How are you so authentic and true to who you are, and no matter what situation you're in? I mean, even up at the podium here in Indy the other day, you're just yourself. You're comfortable. Have you always been that way? Like, I guess I don't know how to say this, but not a lot of NFL coaches are the way you are, I guess. You know,
I appreciate that. I think that's
great.
a good thing.
Yeah, of course. Like, you're well-rounded, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, we were talking to Peter Schrager just recently, and he said that you were like called him one time and you're like, hey, I'm going to be in New York. I'd like to go check out this Harry Potter play or something.
That was a great play, by the way. That was awesome.
And he was like, what?
Yeah, you only live once. There's so many amazing things to experience in life. And I think as long as you're organized and efficient, you can be a great football coach or whatever profession you pick and still be able to do a lot of other things. And, my wife and I, we want to make sure our kids get to do a lot of different things and they get to experience a lot of different things and travel and hike and all that stuff. So, I think it's, I give a lot of credit to my mom, my grandma, they're, my dad, he was a coach for a long time, so I'm lucky I got his knowledge of the game. But my mom and my grandma, they were the ones that I think brought the personality in that allowed me to be who I am.
It's important not to be like sort of had this huge ego or that kind of thing. I mean, you're very humble. You make us feel comfortable here, but some other coaches, they're like, I'm the guy and I'm this genius, but you don't really carry yourself that way.
Hey, look, we're all learning. I mean, I'm the first one that knows that I don't know everything. And I think the more knowledge you have, my dad always told me the line, knowledge is power. And I think that the more knowledge you can get, and you can get knowledge from everybody, from whether it's the media, whether it's a fan, whether it's the players, the more that you can grow as a person gives you more strength and more ability to be able to communicate and talk. And I just think that's so important. And I never want to stop learning. That's why I loved all the things I studied in college and all the different things that I've done is, just getting that knowledge more and more and more, because it just makes you be able to have more answers to questions.
Hopefully the next time we're sitting down, maybe we have a glass of wine. We can talk some
I love
wine,
that. We can definitely talk some of the wine.
Maybe like a weekly segment, huh, Coach?
Hey, you don't need to tell me twice.
Well, hey, we appreciate your time. Thanks for inviting us into the suite here and getting a chance to know you a little bit better.
Awesome. Hey, it's been great.
Our thanks to Nathaniel Hackett for spending some time with us. You got some good stuff out of him.
I mean, you did too, Phil.
That was an enjoyable conversation.
Good little rapport. He's easy to talk to. Makes you
Really
feel welcome,
easy.
as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Very generous with his time.
I enjoy talking to him, just hanging
I like
out
the
with
part
him.
where he said, I say tug, you say licious.
Licious.
I think we did a nice job.
I followed exactly what
I
he told me to
followed
do.
instructions.
Yeah, that's what he told me to do, so
Yeah.
I just did it. He does have a way about him that you kind of feel relaxed and you feel like, oh yeah, I like this guy. But I will say, like, there's this notion that he's like a genius and like he's like a quarterback whisperer and he's like this, but he doesn't carry himself that way at all.
No, he's not
Like,
arrogant
he's
at
very
all.
relaxed and he's very comfortable. And
I think when you are really good at something or you know something really well,
yeah,
you don't feel the need to tell people about it. You don't
Yeah.
feel the need to like act like you're better than the person. You just know, hey, I'm comfortable. I know I'm a good football coach. I know I know a lot about offensive schemes. Like there's no reason to be arrogant about it. And
No.
he is a very easy, down to earth guy.
yeah.
Enjoyed talking with him. Great to hear kind of a couple of different things there. I thought, his philosophy about you asked him, hey, are we going to go for it on fourth down? Are we going to score at the end of the half?
He said every situation's a little bit different. He doesn't want to commit to one thing. Because I would say, like, you talked to Brandon Staley with the Chargers, and he's like, we're going for it.
Right.
Like, this is, like, just a philosophy that we have.
In the past few years, the Broncos have been a little conservative.
Yes, particularly, I would say, before halftime.
And I would say, too, not all fourth downs are created equally. I would say when it came push to shove about, like, really critical fourth downs, like against the Chiefs or whatever, the Broncos punted or kicked field goals.
Yeah, I think it has to just do with your mindset a little bit, you
Right.
know, like from where you're coming from. Like, I would imagine that Vic Fangio often thought, look, we're going to play great defense and we'll just get the ball back.
Yeah.
But maybe if you have an offensive-minded head coach like Hackett or something, you're like, no, I want to do it we're in control with the ball, so let's go for it.
Right.
He didn't really say that. He's also been playing things close to the vest here where you're like, what's this offense going to look like? What are some of your guiding principles? What are some of the things that you really believe in as a football coach? He's not really indicated those things.
Right, and I think that's good long term. Like when you get to the playoffs or you're in a matchup against a tough team.
Got to be able to adjust.
Like we talk about this being a passing league, but he said, hey, when we were in Jacksonville, we ran the ball really well.
Yeah.
And they came really close to upsetting the New England Patriots and going to the Super Bowl down there. So, I think on a week-to-week basis, being able to say, hey, we're gonna have Javonte carry the load this week, or we're gonna have this unknown quarterback.
You got to
air it
win
out.
different ways.
Yeah, and so I liked that he I think the principles will stay the same, but being able to adjust week to week is such a big thing in this game. And if you don't do it, you get beat. And so, we talked a lot when Nathaniel Hackett was first hired about he's going to give you an edge in a certain area. I think we heard him talk in that interview a little bit about the edge he gives you.
Yeah. And he's going to be in charge of this offense,
Right.
So, that's something to pay attention to. He also mentioned that, the game plan has to be built around the players that you have on your roster. And he hasn't had a chance to really spend a lot of time with these guys. He doesn't know, what each player likes to do or versus, was forced to do before. And I do think that's important, just being able to say, look, maybe my quarterback's really athletic. Okay, we got to use that as a weapon, even though maybe I'd rather not. But look, these are the players I got.
Right.
We got to go out and win with these guys. I think that's an important part about being a head coach too, and it seems like Hackett's about that.
Yeah, and I just got a sense from that conversation that he's ready for this. He's excited. I liked that he didn't shy away from the goals we talked about. They want to compete for a division title.
Yep.
They want to make the playoffs. They want to compete for championships. This is not something where they're kind of minimizing expectations. They know.
Yeah.
And by they, I mean George Payton and Nathaniel Hackett. Kind of, they know what's expected.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's been a long time where the Broncos their offense hasn't really been that great. It's been mostly a defensive focused approach. I think that it's been like that for a long time now, and I think people are ready. They want some explosive plays. They want some exciting plays.
Some tugalicious.
They want to win. Yeah, he didn't really know what the plural.
No, I like tugalicious. I think.
With an I or
like a cacti situation.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard word
to make plural.
Yeah, everybody was talking about Tugalicious.
Everybody's talking about it. Yeah,
you got to know what that means now.
Well, now we know.
Yeah, what do you think about the energy in the building right now? You can feel that he's brought some of this different. You think there's a different culture now?
Yeah, I think so, and it's easy now, right? You haven't played a game. You haven't lost a game. And so right now it's easy to be upbeat and say, hey, this young coaching staff is going to be great.
Yep.
We're going to score a lot of points. This defense is going to improve on last year. Those things are easy to say now. We got to see them do it. They got to fight through some adversity, and we'll see how that goes. But not only, can you kind of tell that some of the players that have been around, that they're excited, but I think a lot of the coaches that we've met, the young coaches on this staff, they're excited to be there. They're excited to be a part of this. For some of these guys, it's their first real shot.
Yes. What did you think about Hackett? He said, I wanted to remove the number associated with their experience and just look at them as coaches.
Yeah, just hire good teachers.
Don't worry about the experience. Do you think that that's a solid approach there?
I mean, there are times when experience can help, right?
Yeah.
And having Dom Capers on your defensive staff will help. Having Nathaniel Hackett, who has 6-7 years of offensive coordinator experience, will help. More than that when you count the collegiate level. But I think there's something to be said. You have kind of these coaches that have been either a head coach or a coordinator, and they come in at a lower position, right? They've been fired from this job, and they view it as, or it can feel like they view it as I just got to do a good job at this so I can get back to where I was.
Yeah.
I was an offensive coordinator. Now I'm a quarterback's coach. I want to just do a good job here and get out of here and be back to being an offensive coordinator. I think there's value when you have young guys who have never done this before, and they're this is my first shot. Justin Outen is probably excited as heck to get out there and prove himself and say, I can do a really good job at this. And so I think that leads to maybe working a little bit harder, going that extra effort, putting your heart and soul into it. And the bottom line is it hasn't worked the other way. So why not just see if this works?
Try it. Yeah. Clint Kubiak, really the only person he was an offensive coordinator with the Vikings. Now he's a quarterback coach. But
I'm not, of course, not taking a shot at
No.
Clint.
I was going to say, in the past, guys like Mike McCoy have been a head coach. There had been maybe a feel hey, if you do a good job as the OC here, you'll get another chance as a head coach.
Right. And I think if I remember properly, he was open about I'd like to be a head coach again.
I think that was clear. Yeah.
I assume Pat Shurmur wanted to be a head coach again.
Yeah.
And I think that
I think so.
it can be tough when you start losing, and that's the case, because then it's more of like oh, here we go again, or I'm not going to be able to get to where I want to go, and so you just kind of get resigned to losing.
Yeah.
These guys, I think, are just going to be like Ajiro Rivera is just going to be fired up to get going.
Opportunity. You're fired up.
Yeah.
I think so too. Nice job on the name.
Thanks.
After last week, I was going to say Avero. Yeah. But I think some people call him EJ.
That is easier.
Have you? I think they call him EJ.
I like to
Avero.
like people pronounce my name, so
Correct.
Delilah's not an easy. You look at that name, you're like Delilah.
Yeah, you get that a lot. You get that a lot.
Like, if people take the time to learn how to say my name, I want to take the time to learn how to say people's names, and if they want to go by EJ or whatever, happy to do that. But
yeah,
I
heard people calling him EJ this week.
I don't like this name is too hard, I'm not going to learn it.
Ooh, like Albert O.
Yeah.
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 We know it.
Yeah. Did you say it right?
I did say it right.
Okay.
Yeah. I definitely said it right.
But yeah, just a lot of nice little kind of nuggets there from Hackett.
A lot
I think
of
you
personality.
can. You can tell. Like, we weren't asking him too much hard hitting stuff, but you just kind of feel like a connection to the guy, and you could see how.
You can see how you could do that with players.
Yeah, if you were a player that whether he's teaching you about the offense or he's talking to you about life or whatever, how you would be like, I want to play for this guy, or I want to spend time around this guy. I want to make this guy proud. That sort of thing. I think you get that, and something else I admire, Phil. He's loving this.
Yeah, he does seem to be like.
He was up at the podium at the
combine.
He's like, "Well, this is so cool."
Yeah, he's authentic all the time.
Yeah,
like I don't think he's like, "Whoa, I gotta be this guy or that guy." He's like, "I'm just gonna be me."
And that all the advice people give you is they say you got to be yourself.
Yeah,
and so.
There's no like other coach out there that he's trying to be like this guy.
No, and it's kind of a new wave. Like, I would say he and Mike McDaniel are similar in a lot of ways.
A lot of energy, kind of
a lot
like
of energy,
youthful spirit.
A little like quirky.
Yeah.
Kind of like into the data and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of a new wave of coach where, Vic has been doing this a long time, but Vic would never have been like, I say tub, you say licious.
No.
That was not his style, which is okay.
No.
Everyone's got their own style, but it's just kind of, it's cool to see him like fully embrace being himself.
Vic was himself.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so if that's what you want, that's what you're going to get.
Right.
So I do think that the players really like him. I was talking to Tom Pelissero of NFL Network.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've noticed, but I've plugged a couple of interviews that are on the Broncos.
You've done a lot of work. Sometimes I get worried about you. I'm like, is Phil working too hard?
When they haven't let me on the road, then I'm like, oh, when I get my chance,
I'm gonna just get everybody
my opportunity.
Right.
I can't blow it, so I gotta. Anyway, so I was talking to Tom Pelissero. I didn't know this, that when Hackett interviewed with the Falcons last year, Aaron Rodgers picked up the phone and really stumped for him.
Wow.
Called the Falcons. Aaron Rodgers. You know who that is?
That's a quarterback guy.
That's the guy who I think maybe he won back-to-back MVPs or something.
He did a cleanse?
Something like that. Yeah, you were trying that out. How did that go?
Not well.
Yeah, I was like, you were like, I want to do this while
I
read
step
combine.
3, and I was like, what?
Yeah, you were like, I want to do this while we're at the combine. I was like, you should really do that while you're at home.
Yeah.
Like maybe if you need to see a doctor or something, you have that. And you're like, no.
I was doing that shrimp cocktail cleanse. You only eat shrimp cocktail for a whole week.
The horseradish.
Yeah.
That clears out everything on its own.
That'll get you.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a different approach. I think.
Yeah, very different.
But yeah, Aaron Rodgers picked up a phone and called and was like, "This is this guy," and so I think being able to connect with a guy like Rodgers, that shows you hey, look, I can connect with young guys who are just starting out, and I can connect with veterans who I'll earn their respect. That said a lot to me.
Yeah, no, and I think you see him interact with different reporters, here during scrums or just
gaggle,
a little gaggle, a scribe scrum, that sort of situation.
Yeah.
He has a natural ability to, he disarms people. I think is a good way to put it. You're naturally, I think, a little bit buttoned up, or you want to just be professional. He just really quickly he relaxes you, he disarms you.
Yeah, very comfortable.
Yeah.
Of course, that's all very nice when.
Nice to say now.
Yeah, but when if you start winning, it's going to only go up.
Of course.
If it's
The
No other way.
one question we didn't ask him that maybe we save for the next thing
Next
is
one? Well, we're gonna do wine with him as a
the wine.
That's next week.
I just want to know, does he think he can come for LaFleur's sexiest coach in the NFL?
Oh,
We should have asked him that.
Yeah, that is true. Might have a hard time. I
think he'd have
I
a
don't
funny
know.
answer to that.
Yeah, he would have had a funny answer. You were thinking of some funny stuff.
Yeah, you're like,
was like,
tell me about
tell
the
me about
DVOA and the two-way go, and I'm like,
You're like, what?
how much of that shrimp cocktail you eating?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you
Yeah,
know
you were
the
like,
real.
you were
things.
mad about that. You were like, don't waste a
No.
question on that.
No. I love that. I like the flavor.
We switched it up. You were like the
I was the
The
serious
stats
guy.
guy
You
and I
were
was
the
the emotional.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
just so emotional.
You got a little emotional at the end. You were like, I love
was
you so
crying.
much.
Yeah, I was like, why? How are you this way?
Yeah. You're like, you're
Yeah.
amazing.
How are you this way? He
was
is
like, "Thanks."
not like other NFL
No.
coaches, I would say.
Yeah.
They got
You
all
were
these
like, "You're a
podiums
little
set up
weird,
here.
huh?"
They got all the coaches. They're a little bit different than
Yeah,
Coach Hackett is.
that's true.
And so,
It is interesting, we're at the combine and you see all these coaches doing press conferences and
yeah.
to see there's so many different types of people.
Yeah.
Like you got the serious, you got kind of the eccentric, you got the young guys, the older guys.
Yeah,
Like, you
all
see Pete
different
Carroll up there who's been doing it for forever. Right next
There's
to
different ways to do it.
like a Nick Sirianni who's wearing a Sixers jacket. It's a different. It's cool to see.
Sirianni, similar to Hackett.
You
High
think so?
energy, some quirkiness. I think that if you win, people will like him.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't think so? Was that a mistake?
I'm glad Nathaniel Hackett is the Broncos head coach.
Oh, really? Because I do think
that's all-
Sirianni
yeah,
won
that's all
over
I'm
a
saying.
lot of people in Philly later in the year.
Yeah, that's true. I don't want to
you
get.
like-
I don't want
you
to get
don't-
into that. I don't want to.
Tell
I
me
don't
a
need
little
to
bit
be.
more.
Yeah,
Tell me a little bit more. Just,
I don't want to be disrespectful.
oh, okay. Okay, that's why I just thought like the high energy.
I'm glad
that-
Nathaniel
that
Hackett is the
thing.
coach.
Okay, I think that's fair.
What will be interesting is, and maybe we talk about this, closer to the season or whenever you want. Maybe we talk for 15 more minutes right now, like the Kevin O'Connell, Mike McDaniel,
Oh, you think
Nathaniel
all be, like, kinda
Hackett,
grouped
like
together?
It'll be interesting
has
to
more success?
kind of look back and see which of those guys worked out the best. I think it's possible all three of those guys work out. They all seem to have dynamic personalities.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
You just don't know what's going to happen with the quarterback. You got to have a quarterback to win.
Of
like
course.
If the Broncos make a big move here or something, then Hackett's going to have some immediate success.
Right.
And
But it's
you know,
when you're an offensive guy, what can you do with an average quarterback if you have
Yeah.
to deal with that? And so if he can do something there, you've got a better chance of succeeding than
yeah,
Vic did with an average quarterback.
yeah, that's true. Maybe Sirianni not a good comparison. What about like Tony Romo to the color analyst?
Uh-huh.
Like he brought in this youthful energy.
Jim?
Doesn't do it exactly
Jim?
the same way that like all these people have done it for
Jim?
years and years, and people really like this. They say it was refreshing.
Yeah, but people are kind of over the Romo, right? Some people are.
Some people are.
Yeah.
I don't. You could.
I don't know that there's a
No.
good comp
Not a
right
good,
now.
he is who he is.
Yeah,
I
let's
like
let him be him.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else from the interview you wanted to touch on? Or
No,
you
I don't
that
think
was-
so. I
that was
hope
pretty
people-
good. That
I
was
hope
a nice
people
little
enjoyed
recap.
that.
Yeah, we worked. I mean,
We ran.
we might have to get out of here too
Yeah.
because I think they're still looking for
Yeah,
you. There are like two.
I changed shirts.
Yeah, that's why you don't have your quarter zip.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
they got
they
you.
saw it.
There are like two guys with really, really nice hair
That's right.
and
Yeah.
quarter zips.
Right. Stunning facial features.
Bone structure,
Yeah.
really. Yeah, that's what I'd say. Okay, well, it's been an enjoyable week here in Indianapolis. We
It
always
has.
enjoy coming here. We're sitting at Radio Row right now. You get to see some of our peers.
That's
You
right.
get to chat. You get to feel the pulse.
Yeah,
Feel
the
the pulse.
vibe,
Yeah.
the buzz.
So this was sort of a special episode of the Neutral Zone. Next week we can get back to emails.
Yeah.
NC
I mean,
Nation.
next week we're gonna have to start getting into some free agency. What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
It's
It's
the
gonna be a
league
nice
year is
little
around the
episode.
corner. The off season's over, Phil.
It's funny. A lot of people are talking here that like the Super Bowl ended and boom, the combine's like immediately
felt like
after
that.
that, and you just kind of keep on rolling. That extra week of the season really pushed everything right into each other, and now free agency's coming.
Especially
up, so.
you have a coaching search.
Yeah.
There has not been much of a break.
No.
Which is good.
That's how the NFL
We'd miss
is,
each
man.
other.
Yeah. And then the first week in April,
April 4th, the Broncos
off-season program.
are allowed to report. I don't know yet when they're going to report, but they're allowed to report the 4th.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they do.
If you're allowed to, you probably do it.
Well, last year they boycotted. Fake boycott?
Got to get to work.
Partial boycott.
Was that last year?
I don't know. I would call it a boycott.
Oh.
They didn't attend voluntary phase 1.
That first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That is right. That was the players' union, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they all got together. That's true.
So
Okay, but next week we'll get back to it. Let us know what you thought about the interview. Hopefully you enjoyed
you
that.
liked it.
Leave some comments. Let us know what you think, and maybe we'll read the best ones next week.
that would be great.
Leave a voicemail.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last week we did not do shout-outs. Do you have any shout-outs this week?
Yeah. Shout out to Liz Gerald's. Some
course.
good community.
Some really good community
Yeah.
stuff coming up. Yeah, that's true.
Players are getting back soon.
I was going to say
New era of
the NFL
community.
put on a nice combine this year, I would say.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
It was
They've
nice.
been working hard, putting it together. So
First in-person one in a couple of years.
yeah, that's why I was. It's kind of nice to be back.
It is
So
nice to be
we'll
back.
hopefully things keep trending this direction.
Yes, I hope so.
Yeah. So, all right, we'll be back next week. But until then, for Eric Dalala, I am Phil Milani. You've been listening to
The Neutral Zone.